Welcome everyone to our week 10 recap of our Filthy Casual playthrough competition, where we're trying to discover what is the best MMO for a Filthy Casual player like myself. Now, every couple of weeks, we did it after I think 3 weeks, and now we're doing it at 10 weeks. We want to take a look at the data I'm collecting because the data is really helping to form my overall thoughts on what games I think are better for casual players and why. And they're also helping me kind of figure out what I personally want out of an MMO and what I want out of a game in general. So first we're going to look through the data. I'm going to try and do this as fast as possible. And then we're going to do a couple of tier lists as we look at the games from a few different perspectives. Our first data point is time played. This isn't really that terribly important, but in reality, what this shows you is what games almost require more of your time per play session. So ESO, for example, even if I hadn't looked at this chart, I would have told you ESO tends to pull you into a quest and hold you for longer. That's a good and a bad thing. Oftentimes as a casual player, I'm wanting to be able to just hop in and easily be able to hop out. ESO, it's not often the case, but otherwise the games are pretty well evenly stacked. Now, Runescape has already left the series. We're still going to talk about it a bit in the tier list. So when we look at the data, we're not really going to talk about Runescape. And you'll notice that New World, which took the place of Runescape, obviously has less data collected because we only have 3 weeks of New World, but 10 weeks of all the other games. Milestones, the only thing to look at here is New World. Again, this is kind of fuzzy in a lot of, specifically with the time to freedom. But New World did well. Within 3 minutes, you were in control of your character, and within 5.5 minutes, you were in combat. And then it took about an hour and a half of play to actually be free. I mean, you were still kind of on the guided tour, but you were kind of out of the super on-rails hand-holding bits. Money, this is a thing that we can't really look at and compare every game apples to apples, but you do kind of look at the growth. So, for instance, what is this here? Is this WoW? This is WoW. You gain money very fast in WoW. Very fast. Whereas, what is this blue one that has hardly changed? Oh, yeah, Lord of the Rings Online. I think I got a daily reward that bumped me up 5,000 gold or something. It's just kind of odd. Like, a lot of them you see, like, what is this light blue? Star Wars The Old Republic. It kind of goes up and down because I'm having to spend credits to... I guess, what am I spending credits on in Star Wars The Old Republic? I can't even remember. I guess I bought some things. But everything else is pretty consistent. You can tell Guild Wars 2 as well. There was a day that I got a login reward, I think. Same with Lord of the Rings Online. We see that. Oh no, the Lord of the Rings Online is green. This blue is... Oh no, that's Elder Scrolls Online. Here it is. When we jumped up from 200 to 10,000... that was a daily login bonus. So it's because of the login bonuses, this doesn't really help us a whole lot, but it does show us that if you like feeling like you're getting a lot of money, World of Warcraft is clearly the way to go. Now, this one is really interesting. Okay, this song is way too creepy. Give me something more fun. There we go, that's better. This one's fun to look at. So what we're looking at here is your level progression. But what's important to look at here is the percentage of your level progression, right? So here we are on week 10, and this is a percentage of the total level that you can achieve in the game. Week 10, ESO's at 20, Final Fantasy's at 13, Guild Wars 2 is at 32.5%. And then WoW is at 31.43%. Star Wars The Old Republic has 21. So I feel like ESO, Final Fantasy 14, and Star Wars The Old Republic are at kind of a fair pace in terms of leveling up. Here's what I want to point out on this, though. If we were to compare level progression and character progression, that's, in the end, I think I'm going to kind of combine those two, because if those two things aren't growing together, there's a problem. ESO, at 20% growth, I feel like my character is like really developing. Final Fantasy XIV, 13% development. That kind of matches how much I feel like I've grown. I feel like it's kind of slow going in Final Fantasy XIV, but not too bad. Guild Wars 2, you progress pretty quick. And thankfully in Guild Wars 2, once you reach max level, and I think World of Warcraft is kind of the same way, once you reach max level, there's a lot of specialization, like horizontal specialization to play with and to achieve. So even, I know for a fact in Guild Wars 2, when you reach max level, there's a lot to be done, because you have to go earn hero points to unlock more skills, and you unlock whole skill trees that you can bounce back and forth between once you have them unlocked. I don't even have more than one unlocked on my main character. So even though Guild Wars 2 and WoW are kind of closer to max level, that is not near the end. For many, that's the beginning. Lotro, though, this is an interesting one. We're at 8.57%. That's half of what New World is at 3 weeks. New World I'm curious about, because that's pretty fast. Guild Wars 2 was at 15%, and WoW, so it's on par with WoW and Guild Wars 2. So I'm curious to see how New World pans out. But Lotro feels like I've progressed 2 or 3% in terms of character progression. So I guess we're not that far off, but I think the point that what we learned from this is Lotro, which has a very high max level at 140 levels, you're in it for the long haul with Lotro. You're in it to take your time and really slowly develop your character, which maybe that's what people want. You as an individual may want that. I don't necessarily, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. Gear purchased. This does not offer too much data for us other than to see like we've purchased nothing in Lotro, nothing in Star Wars The Old Republic, nothing in WoW. No, sorry, one thing in WoW. Nothing in ESO. Whereas looted gear, this is a bit, for me personally, I'm a loot person. I want to loot stuff. Guild Wars 2 has provided lots of loot, but also lots of purchased gear as well. I think Guild Wars 2 in terms of upgrades, that's 8. New World technically has 7 on that one episode. That's kind of hard to give at that point because it was just a bunch of weapons that you could choose between, which is great, but you're not ultimately going to use all of them. So that should come with an asterisk. But if we look at it, Guild Wars 2 has the most purchased loot, which is 8. And then looted gear equipped, Guild Wars 2 is far and away the highest. That speaks volumes to me and like speaks my love language. I love loot. I love comparing gear. I love upgrading stuff. I think it's fantastic. It's great. Good on you, Guild Wars 2, for doing that. Sorry, and I'm not fully explaining what all of the data we're looking at here is. Like, this chart is clearly like week by week. That's not really anything we can really derive anything from, but this shows the total gain of gear. I think the big thing to notice here is what is that? RuneScape? Yeah, ignore RuneScape. Star Wars: The Old Republic plateaued. Plateaued. This is going past. No, sorry, they all plateaued. But like Star Wars: The Old Republic is dragging in terms of gear, and on top of that, it doesn't feel like the gear is that great. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, good, that one's better, but I don't feel any different. Everything else is doing fine there. Solo ability, this has been fine. There's nothing really to look at here. Everything for the most part has been a 10. Final Fantasy XIV got a 1 because the first episode was just, it was awful. Character progression. This is very important. If you don't feel like your character is progressing, there's a problem. So this goes back to, come on, can I move the chart? There we go. Thank you, Google. Look at Lotro. Oh, excuse me. Burp. Look at Lotro down here. Lotro, I gained some skills, and then I just stopped. I don't think I've had any new skills since episode 2 or 3. That's awful. I don't know what to say. The world is fine, and progressing through the world is fun, but my character has not changed in forever. I feel no significant difference in my character. Whereas if you go and look at WoW, ESO, and Guild Wars 2, they are leading the charge on making your character feel great. And even where's New World is not on this chart. Oh, I didn't add New World over here yet, but you can already see New World is at 30. New World is at 30. New World is, whoops, I'm about to mess up my spreadsheet. New World is already more. Lotro's character progression total is only 19. New World character progression total is 30. It has had 3 perfect weeks of character progression. New World has been blowing my mind. It's been great. I need to fix this to put that in here. But that also means New World is on par with Final Fantasy 14 in terms of not quite. Final Fantasy 14 is at 50. Star Wars The Old Republic probably is pretty low. Yeah, 48. Okay, so they're both pretty close to 50. Never mind. New World's gonna blow the rest of them out of the water, other than, ESO, Final Fantasy 14, Guild Wars 2. Combat. This is pretty important if you enjoy combat. I don't need combat to be perfect. I just need it to be fun and not terrible. Lotro's combat's pretty bad. Star Wars The Old Republic's combat has been okay sometimes, but overall it's very mediocre and just it hasn't changed much lately, which is why it's lately been a 2 and a 1. It spiked at an 8, but has mostly been very middle of the road. Guild Wars 2 combat, that action cam, beautiful. Nothing but 8, 9s, and 10s. WoW's combat has always felt really solid. I haven't come across anything, though, that quite gave me a 10 day. You know what I mean? Like, there hasn't been, like, a special combat with a special mechanic yet. ESO's been mostly good, but I know it can be bad depending on the class you choose. And I haven't marked, I need to update this as well and put New World, but New World is doing great. New World's combat is so good. The fact that the gunplay is actual aiming, that blew my mind. I never would have expected that. It's excellent. Really good combat in New World. Not quite as good as Guild Wars 2 action cam. Well, overall not as good, but boy, the gunplay in New World, it's so good. Exploration, if this is something that means a lot to you, this is a good one too. I don't have a total marking here. I probably should. Guild Wars 2, I talked about this in Guild Wars 2's video this week. Guild Wars 2 doesn't encourage exploration. It requires exploration. When you hit a point where you're not leveled up enough to do the next story mission, the only thing for you to do is explore. And other than dynamic events, there's only one thing for you to do in each area, generally speaking. That's not a complete truth, but it's a relative truth that when you go to a new area, there's a heart. There's also possibly a scout to talk to, but that's doing something, but it's not completing something. So like Guild Wars 2, exploration is oftentimes the only thing to do, which is great if that's what you're into. If that's not what you're into, maybe it's not a great game for you. Whereas in WoW, like this last episode of WoW, I gave an 8 to exploration, but really I didn't explore that much, but it felt good. What I did walk around in felt good, and it felt different because I had my hat, right? I was able to walk around the pirate area that I'd previously tried to sneak into, but got killed. But now I have my pirate hat, so they think I'm one of them. I could have given that a lower exploration score, to be honest. In fact, I think I will. Actually, we're gonna dock that 2 points. We're gonna make that a 6. Because the exploration wasn't anything special, but there was lots to do. I bet I did 10 or 12 quests in that episode. Now, some of them were really quick, like buy a drink from from the bartender and drink it. Okay, but I'm doing stuff. I'm interacting with the world and it's fun. Guild Wars 2 doesn't really have that. And so this is where you gotta kind of try both and see what works best for you. I know what works best for me, and we'll figure that out and give that information as we get closer to the end of this complete series. But yeah, now, Lotro exploration's been pretty great. It started off not so great because you were locked in this one area, but now that I've hit Bree and I can go out and do things, it's a lot better. Final Fantasy XIV could improve on the exploration, but it's not bad. It's just not great. Anything else to point out here? Star Wars: The Old Republic. I can't believe I gave this a 9 or an 8 any time for exploration. I guess I went to some cool places in those episodes, because now I dread going places in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I dread it because I know I'm just gonna have to walk back, and I know that there's gonna be nothing to see. It's pretty, but there's nothing of value. It has a great personality. Story, if you're big into story, here's the deal, right? ESO's your game. If you want story, if you want characters, ESO's your game. I cannot say enough good things about the dialogue system in ESO, the writing in ESO, the voice acting. It is excellent. It is. If I could give it more points on this, I probably would. Notice it goes 7, 8, 9, 9, and then 10s. I mean, it starts off jogging, but then it just starts sprinting, and it's just so good. This week's episode, if you didn't watch this week's ESO, go watch it. It is one of my favorite, most memorable quests of any video game I've ever played. It was that good. It was a funny premise that was very side Star Trek episode. You know, Star Trek has lots of episodes that are just kind of side stories that don't progress the major story at all. It is 100% like a Star Trek episode. Final Fantasy XIV story, it's there. Guild Wars 2 story is great when you're doing story missions. When you're not doing story missions, it's fine. There's lore that happens around you, so I give it some points for that. Lotro's story is okay most of the time, but then it gets pretty bad sometimes. New World story has been fun. I'm not following it super closely. RuneScape didn't have a story. Star Wars: The Old Republic story is great. It really is, and not quite as good as ESO's, but a very close second, I believe. Yeah, Star Wars: The Old Republic is second place in terms of story. The problem is getting to the cutscenes. Between the cutscenes, this game is a walking simulator with the occasional combat that you don't have to do to grind to level up. Most of the time. I did once. That's a whole weird thing, because then I got back to a place where I was way overpowered. Very strange, odd pacing in that game. But the story is great. So if you could watch a playthrough that maybe edits out a lot of the boring stuff, I encourage it. It's fun. WoW story is really good. I'm enjoying this expansion that they put you into. Ease of use, this is pretty important. WoW has it nailed down. New World has it nailed down as well. Check out New World with perfect scores in terms of ease of use. And I said when I started New World, I suspect that New World learned from the previous MMOs, and it's even learned from itself, because I know it didn't start out perfect, and it still isn't perfect, but I know they've ironed out their own kinks as well as learned from past mistakes of others. ESO's been really easy to use. Final Fantasy XIV, for the most part, has been really easy to use. Guild Wars 2, once you get through the initial problems, it's great. Lotro's gotten better, but I needed viewers. Similar to Guild Wars 2, honestly. In Guild Wars 2, viewers have to tell you about Action Cam. In Lord of the Rings Online, viewers have to tell you about literally every good feature of the game. Star Wars: The Old Republic is horrible at teaching you the game. Absolutely terrible. The way it teaches you is bad, and when it teaches you is bad. And there's even outdated tutorial to read. That's happened at least twice, if not 3 times, where it popped up with a tutorial that I immediately knew that's not accurate anymore. They just haven't updated it, which is horrible. Okay, overall fun factor, Guild Wars 2, my baby, right up there at the top. It's all because of the action cam. And you know what? Look at New World again, 10, 10, 10. New World is creeping up behind Guild Wars 2 on a lot of these. Do I think it will overtake it all the way? I don't think so, because as a casual player, I suspect New World will not remain good for me, not remain perfect for me. Guild Wars 2 is great so far, all the way through. I mean, I have reached stuff that kind of requires you to find friends to do things with in order for it to not be a total slog to get through. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with ESO. Recently been having fun with Final Fantasy 14. Well, I say recently, since week 3. It's been 8s and 9s and 10s and 1 7. Guild Wars 2 is basically always a 9 or a 10. Lord of the Rings Online, it can be fun. We're going to talk more about why I'm continuing Lotro. Lotro is barely hanging on, but we'll talk more during the tier list about why. Star Wars The Old Republic is just, if you can't tell already, Star Wars The Old Republic is going away. Like, there's no hiding that fact. It has just gotten bad. It's not fun. WoW, always fun. WoW is always fun. There's always lots of good stuff going on. Fun stuff to do. Fun dialogue. Funny quests and stuff like that. This is my favorite chart of all of them. Ranking my desire to play them more. WoW has fallen a bit. So you notice the first 7 weeks, WoW was basically always in the top 2. Once it was in 5th place. But then lately it's been kind of low. Now here's the thing. The 2 main things to look at here are the top and the bottom. Everything in between, maybe the top 2 and the bottom 2, but everything in the middle is kind of fudgeable a little bit. Like Guild Wars 2. Right now I'm in a lull period between story. That's why it's in 3rd place. Though I love the PvE and running around and killing stuff, whacking stuff with my hammer. And it's fun to relax with. So in theory, that makes it a great game for casual players. But if you're a casual player who wants constant story, maybe that's not for you, but that's why it's lower. New World, though, in its not defense, but in defense of the other games, New World is newer for me. It only started in week 8. So that kind of makes sense, because the early game of an MMO is always really exciting. However, that being said, we've seen by the character progression, by the overall fun factor, by the combat ratings, New World is good. It's not just that I'm wanting to play it more because it's a newer game in the series. It is good so far. I mean, maybe it's going to reach a point where I'm like, oh, geez, this is not for me. But ESO has remained really high. Guild Wars 2 has remained really high. I mean, look at that. ESO and Guild Wars 2 has been in 2nd or 3rd place for the last 5 weeks. Star Wars The Old Republic I was really wanting it to get good in week 2 and week 3. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. And now I just have not wanted to play it. Lotro has always been low. So now's a good time to talk about why I'm still wanting to play it. And I got a comment the other day that made me think about this. And someone said, they asked, what game are you like actually looking forward to play? What games are you actually looking forward to play? That's one question, but then there's another question. Which game are you looking forward to recording? Those are 2 very different questions. I look forward to recording ESO. I don't always look forward to playing ESO, if that makes sense. I look forward to playing Final Fantasy. I don't necessarily look forward to recording Final Fantasy, right? So it's the opposite. I enjoy playing Final Fantasy, but recording it is hard because like I have to read all this awful dialogue or stumble over these horrible fantasy names, and it's a harder game to record, but a really fun game to play. Lotro. Actually, here's a better way to phrase Lotro. Lotro isn't great to record because it can be boring. It's relaxing to play, and I love exploring the world, and there's lots of fun things to find. What I love about Lotro is uploading it. The comments, the community of Lotro is really just about the only community that's shown up for this series outside of Guild Wars 2. There have been others from other games that have shown up. Final Fantasy XIV's had quite a few. Wow, but the ones that have been the most consistently vocal and supportive and loving and helpful of someone being very critical of their game, they keep coming back and saying, you're right, that is bad. Here's how to fix it. Here's how you can make that better. Here's how you can make the map work for you. And I'm like, this community is great. It is on par with the Guild Wars 2 community. And I think there is no better community than the Guild Wars 2 community. And I honestly think Lotro may have significantly less toxic players, because any toxic player would have left Lotro. Let's be real. Whereas Guild Wars 2 has toxic players, but they're not watching my videos, so I don't experience them. Bonus points. ESO got great bonus points this week for the amazing side quest. Star Wars The Old Republic lost points for too much time wasted walking. Star Wars lost a lot of points for every time you level up in Star Wars or you complete a quest, you get at least one window, if not two windows, and then text all over the place, and you don't know what any of it says. It all starts to fade away, and you're trying to see what it says. I don't know what it says. Maybe I just got a new ability that I could go unlock, but I don't know it. It is so poorly designed. Like, whoever wrote the story, I am sorry for what everyone else did to your game. To the voice actors, to the writers, I am sorry for what the rest of the development team did to you. Except for the graphics people. Graphics people, the lighting people, the color people, phenomenal. The game looks beautiful. It's just not fun to play. It's not worth the pain of playing the game to experience the story, in my opinion. Music, this is just a fun little jaunt, not super important, but Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy XIV, and ESO take my top spots. No, sorry. That's WoW. Sorry, WoW, ESO, and Guild Wars 2, not Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV is okay for in the game, but if you're wanting to listen to like music outside of the game, it's not that great. It just, because it sounds like video game music. It sounds like MIDI. Lotro is at the bottom, but Lotro is fine. It's just not super high quality, is a good way to think about it. Star Wars The Old Republic's music, it's fine. It's Star Wars. It's serviceable. All right, so let's get to this tier list now. Okay, here's the deal. We're going to make this tier list 4 different times, okay, for 4 different categories. First up, value. We're going to go through and talk about value, right? Because now I'm having to start paying for World of Warcraft. So let's go through alphabetical, like we normally do. Let me remind myself, what does Elder Scrolls Online actually cost? So like to play the game is $20. To get all of the past expansions and the current expansion is $60. Okay. Oh, did that start playing the music? Or the video? Mute that. Mute. No, stop. Go away. Okay. So for ESO, for $20, I don't know exactly what you get for $20. I mean, it says right there, Kyle. What do you get for that? Includes the Elder Scrolls Online base game and the Morrowind chapter. Okay. I don't know if this is more valuable than all of this. So I think this is a higher value, especially if you get it on sale. And let's assume you can get it on sale, because I sure did. I'm going to give it a B rating, because that's a lot of content for a single payment, right? You get a fantastic story with pretty decent gameplay. I'm going to give it B tier. We're going to start that off with B tier. Final Fantasy XIV next up, and that is either, I think, $13 a month, but we're going to rate just the free, because there is so much. There are hundreds of hours of gameplay in the free version, I'm pretty sure. Because of that, I'm going to put this A tier. I'm starting to wonder if anything is going to be S tier. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Guild Wars 2 is up next, but I'm going to put Final Fantasy 14 A tier. This is value. Remember, this is value because you can do so much for free. No, you know what though? I'm going S tier for Final Fantasy 14, and here's why. Because you don't need multiple characters. One character does all classes. And I think that improves the value because it respects your time. So Final Fantasy 14, it's getting S tier. Something needed to get S tier, and I really think it's a better value. You get more for free out of Final Fantasy 14 than you do Guild Wars 2. So I'm going to put Guild Wars 2 in A tier. Because once you get through with the personal story, which has a terrible ending, you have to pay money to get the really good stuff. Now, the personal story is great, and what you can do through all that is great, and the gameplay is better than Final Fantasy XIV's. It's just not as much. In my opinion. Again, this is just my opinion. I will choose the Guild Wars 2 action combat over any other game's combat. New World is really close second. All right. Lord of the Rings Online. Is that next up? Alphabetical? Yeah. Lord of the Rings Online. The fact that I'm pretty sure you can get up to level 140 for free. If not, you can get up really high, like level 100 or something. There's a lot to do and a lot to explore. It's not great. It's not for everybody. So but because it's completely free and like what you would pay for isn't that special, I don't think. I'm going to put it with Elder Scrolls Online. Now, if you're really into Lord of the Rings, this could go to A tier. If you're not at all into Lord of the Rings, this is probably C tier or D tier because it's not even worth your time. I'm going to average those things out and just give it a B. I'm teetering between B and C for me personally. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because it is free. And I don't remember what the monthly subscription is. But the only thing I've been frustrated about that I don't get with that is more fast travel. But I've learned that if I had it at this point in the gameplay or in the playthrough, like it wouldn't really benefit me at all. I would just end up traveling back. New World. How much does New World cost? Just got it on sale. Okay, so standard is 40. I think I got it for 50% off for 20. So again, let's assume that you're getting it on sale for $20. I'm going to go A tier. And this could go S tier. No, I think for something to be S tier, it has to provide a lot for free. New World has nothing for free, but for $20, you get quite a bit. And I don't think the deluxe and New World Azoth edition, I don't think those are worth it. I remember looking them up and thinking, that is not worth my extra money. So I'm going New World base edition, giving it A tier. RuneScape. This kind of goes back to Lord of the Rings. If it's what you're into, fine. But for me, the time you spend and the little you can do for free, the little area you can explore for free, I'm going D tier. I'm just going D tier. World of Warcraft. It's only subscription. I got to the need for the subscription in 10 episodes. In how much time? How long did it take me in World of Warcraft? 352 minutes. You get 5-6 hours of gameplay. That's not great. I wish it was level 30. I feel like that would be better. Or do it differently. Give me all the levels I want, but not all the continents I want, right? I'm going to go C tier with this. Because it is going to start costing me $15 a month. to continue playing the game. Now, I think it's worth that because I really enjoy World of Warcraft. But I'm going to put it C tier. It could go B tier. It could. Here's the other thing. It's also about perspective, right? Although I do feel bad saying that you get more value out of Lord of the Rings than World of Warcraft. Never mind. That's going up to B tier. We're going to shift it. We're going to shift it over. I feel like even at $15 a month, you get more value out of Lord of the Rings because the game is higher quality. There's a better feature set. It's more fun. Yeah. Boy, I really kind of want to slide Lord of the Rings Online down to C tier. But it is a lot for free. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt that you're like me and you are moderately into Lord of the Rings and you think walking around Middle-earth is pretty cool. Star Wars The Old Republic. What is its subscription? Oh, you know what? I've already uninstalled it, so I can't click on it over there. Okay, so it is free, but I have run into more paywall problems. Okay, so it's $15. It's the same cost as World of Warcraft. I've run into more paywall things with Star Wars The Old Republic than any other game. And the fact that it doesn't respect your time. Now, I don't know if paying the subscription gets you better fast travel options. If it does, shame on them. Here's the thing. If you get better, cheaper, or hopefully free fast travel options in Star Wars The Old Republic, I might give it C tier. I might. But it is just so boring. I want my time back. I want a refund on my time that I've spent playing the game. I'd rather just go watch someone else play it. I'd rather just go watch the cutscenes. It's going F tier. It's going F tier. RuneScape respects your time better than that, and that game is nothing but time. All right, so there's our first. Where are we at? 37 minutes. We're speeding through this. Don't you worry. That's our value. Okay, that's our value. We're gonna reset. Do this all over again. Now we're gonna rate it as a casual MMO. And you might think, how are there going to be more things after this? Trust me, there's two very important tier lists that we're going to do after this. As a casual MMO, not as a game, not as a casual game, but as a casual MMO. Elder Scrolls Online. As a casual MMO, I give it D tier. It doesn't feel like an MMO. I am very infrequently doing the same thing with other players. I am very infrequently seeing other players out doing things. I may pass them by, but we are definitely not doing anything together. So as a casual player, it is not a good MMO. Final Fantasy XIV. It's only going to get this high because of how many players you see in Limsa Lominsa. It's going to be B tier. Even though I have done jack squat with other players. But there are world events, I can never remember what they're called. But there are dynamic events that happen that I could go participate in with other players. And I kind of feel bad for not doing it. So because of that, it's going to get B tier. But I just, as a casual player, I'm just not with other players much. Except in the big city. But there it's like, oh yeah, players everywhere doing stuff. And it's really cool. And it's really immersive. And it's really fun. So that's why it's getting B tier. Guild Wars 2? Clear S tier. Did you see that episode where I logged into the game? I think it was like episode 4 or 5 or something. I log in, right? And I like start the intro and I hear this noise of like this monstrous creature. And I'm like, what was that? Like, even as veteran of a player as I am, I didn't know what it was. I had never heard that sound. And then I spatially, I was aware of where it came from. And I turn and I realize, oh, That's the world event starting. There's a big world event. Without planning, you can look at timers and figure out when these world events happen. You can look up and know exactly what world event is happening at any time. Guild Wars 2 world event timer. Check this out. You can come here right now. Admiral Tata Covington and automated tournament and defeat Scarlet's minions and all of these things are going on right now in the game. And then in 10 minutes, Great Jungle Worm is going to start, right? You can plan to go do those. And small dynamic events with other players happen all the time in Guild Wars 2. And in fact, the daily quests cause that to happen even more, because when you go do the daily missions, like, you're all there doing it together and it's really fun. And like, you're working together because like you see the commander tag and you run over to the commander tag because you know there's a bounty over there. But this was a truly dynamic like experience where I went and fought this monstrous creature with, I don't know, 100 other players. It was incredible. And I, as a casual player, did nothing to like participate in it. I just walked up. There was no LFG. There was no planning to play it with friends. It just happened. For a casual player that doesn't necessarily want to socialize, that doesn't want to take the time out of their day to like schedule a specific period of time to do a thing, that was miraculous and magical. I can't say enough good things about Guild Wars 2 allowing casual players to play with other players and be doing the same things together. What's next? Enough gushing. Lord of the Rings Online. It really falls down into D tier. I feel the same way about this as I do ESO. Now that I'm in Bree, it got a little better, but I mean, still, I'm not seeing a lot of other players. New World, I just got to a new town, and I have been seeing other players, but I got to a new town and there were lots of other players. It's also really cool that there's voice chat, even though it's kind of annoying because it was a little kid. Oh, I love this song. Anyways, I have a hard time with this one. Now, understand that I have not played New World a ton. It's only 3 weeks in. I'm going to give it B. As a casual MMO, I'm going to give it C only because not only have I not done anything like really around other players, like there have been other players, but like I certainly haven't done anything where I was accomplishing something with other players. That's the key difference. It's one thing to be doing things around other players. It's another thing to be doing the same goal with other players. That's what Guild Wars 2 does well. RuneScape F tier. It's not an MMO. It's just not. For a casual player, it is not an MMO. Star Wars The Old Republic, F tier. It's not an MMO. It's a terrible casual MMO. I went and did the dog fighting. It just felt like a different game. It wasn't a part of the MMO. World of Warcraft. I did do the dungeon with other players. There was a boss fight that I waited for another player to show up, and I did it with them. So doing the group content is there. It's just not super frequent. I'm going to give this B tier, but I'm going to rate it higher than Final Fantasy XIV. Both of these could move up to A. There's a possibility I could see one of them moving up to S tier with Guild Wars 2. If there was ever a moment in this series so far that you looked at it and said, oh, Kyle clearly has his winner, I don't think there was much of a doubt. And I came into this saying I have a bias toward Guild Wars 2, but I think I've given a pretty clear-cut reason why, right? It's not just that I like it better. It's that for a casual player who wants to play an MMO casually, they want it to feel like an MMO. And Guild Wars 2 does that the best. So, no A tier. Now, let's rate them as a game. Not as an MMO, but as a game. This is different. This is very different. Starting off with Elder Scrolls Online. As a game, I go A tier. The voice acting is great. The writing is great. Let me check my hard drive space. Okay, hard drive space is fine. I just realized we're hitting 45 minutes. The voice acting is great. The story is great. The character progression is good. The combat could be better. The new class is really cool. I'm really excited about the new class. That may get moved. It may get moved down to B, but right now I'm going to put it at A tier. Final Fantasy XIV as a game, and I am still looking at this as a casual player, but not nearly quite as much. As a game, I'm going to give Final Fantasy XIV B tier again. It's fine. There's a lot to it. It just hasn't done anything to wow me yet. Guild Wars 2 as a game, I'm going to go A tier. I think it's a better MMO than it is a game. And which sounds weird. Yeah, I mean, it might even could go B tier. Like if you're, well, no, because of Action Cam. Because of Action Cam, it stays at A tier. Lord of the Rings Online. Where was that last time? That was an F tier probably, I think. I'm going to give it C tier for now. I'm going to give it C tier. Yeah. If you're into Lord of the Rings, give it B tier. If you're not into Lord of the Rings, D or F. If you're middle of the road like me, it's a C tier. New World, I'm putting an A tier. It is fun. It is so much fun. It's really good. It's not at all an S, but it is fun. Star Wars The Old Republic, it's an F MMO, and it has lots of room to improve. But I'm going to give it a C tier as a game. Because the story is good, right? And I think there are other classes that are more fun. So the potential for it to be a good game is there. So I'm going to give it C tier. It is teetering on D. World of Warcraft as a game, I'm going to give it B tier. It's right there with Final Fantasy XIV. I kind of feel the same way about that. It could wow me. It could become an A. What this really shows is that it's showing us that the action combat just makes it a better game than it makes it a better game than just a standard tab target MMO. And maybe you like tab target systems. That's fine, but I think most people don't. RuneScape is a game, F tier. Sorry. Okay, I'll be nice. D tier. It's an idle. If you like idle games, it's a fine idle game. See, told you this was going to go faster. So we've now done 3 of 4. Finally, my personal enjoyment, which we've kind of already talked about, but I think it's fun to do this as an S tier, or as a tier list. Personal enjoyment, ESO. I'm only going to go B tier because, like I said, I'm enjoying the story, and there are mountains and valleys of enjoyment with this game, and I never know what I'm going to get. This last episode was really fun, and I almost don't want to play it again to not ruin that. When it's good, Elder Scrolls Online is really good, and it's worth playing. And I think I would enjoy it better if I weren't recording it, which may go against what I said earlier. I don't remember what I said earlier, but I think I would probably enjoy it better if I weren't recording it. Probably. Maybe, but laughing at the story is part of the fun. Laughing at the story and enjoying the story with you is part of the fun. I don't know, but I'm going to put it at B tier. Final Fantasy XIV, personal enjoyment. Sorry, hold on. Text from my mom. As I drop my phone. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Final Fantasy XIV. My enjoyment, I'm going A tier. I'm really enjoying it. It's fun. And this is another one I definitely would be enjoying better if I weren't recording. In fact, ooh, you know what? Because of how relaxing this would be, not recording, I think I might put that S tier. My personal enjoyment of Final Fantasy 14, I'm kind of wanting to ignore the recording aspect, right? No, I'm going to go A tier because there just hasn't been enough loot. There hasn't been enough loot. The loot and the gear that I have looks silly. I'm wearing oven mitts. I am dressed like I'm about to host a baking show. Guild Wars 2. So this is a hard one. My enjoyment of playing Filthy Casual Kyle is a definitive A. Definitive A. However, my general enjoyment of just playing the game really takes it up to S tier. I really love the action cam. I love the different play styles with the different weapon types. I'm still playing other classes off camera. I've got a necromancer that I'm enjoying. I have all these minions that I spawn and stuff. And it's just fun. It's a fun game to hop in and play, and it can feel very different from class to class. So I'm going to give it S tier, even though it's a little bit unfair because I'm kind of including the other characters I'm playing, and I'm not necessarily playing other characters in other games. I am in World of Warcraft, but that's really the only one. Lotro. My enjoyment of Lotro is actually C tier. And in this case, I'm going to include the community's help on this. I am enjoying Lord of the Rings. I am. It's getting better. I like seeing it get better. Here's the thing. I like looking out and seeing that I'm only 8% of the way through the leveling and that there's so much more to go. And I know there's promise. And I know that if I weren't recording, I could be going through this a whole lot faster. But it's still not, the combat just isn't that fun. I would like to try another character. If you're still watching and you're one of the Lotro people, leave me a comment down below what you think the most fun class is in Lord of the Rings Online, or what you think I might enjoy the most. So I'm going to give it a C tier. New World. I'm going to give New World an S tier. It has been fun. The menu systems are great. I looked up. I was questioning this in the video this week. There are no NPC vendors. You can't just sell items off. The entire game economy is player. That's kind of cool. And in a game where you are skinning animals and chopping down trees and doing lots of scavenging and eventually crafting, that's really cool. That is really cool. And I can see myself really getting into that. I love the weapons. I love the combat. I love the leveling up of the weapons. I love the leveling up of your character. I am really enjoying New World right now. I could see that dropping, but as it stands right now, New World is S tier in terms of my personal enjoyment. RuneScape. I'm only going to put it in D tier because I might boot it back up again and play it off camera. Star Wars The Old Republic, it's F tier. It is going bye-bye. I think the story is great. I just think it's a really poorly made game. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say this one last time. To the writers and the graphic artists of this game and the voice actors, I am sorry for what the game design, all the other designers did to you. They ruined your beautiful, amazing product. The people who designed the world, like the layout and planned it, the people who planned the questing, the people who decided like not to have an approachable fast travel system. It's awful. It is so bad. World of Warcraft personal enjoyment. Again, I'm going to match it right up there with Final Fantasy 14. I could see that going to an S. I don't see Final Fantasy 14 going to an S unless I started playing it offline. But the problem is, or off camera, I'm not going to play Final Fantasy 14 off camera because your character can play all sorts of classes. Although maybe I won't do that really with Filthy Casual Kyle. Maybe I should start another character on Final Fantasy 14. I might enjoy that. So anyways, there we go. There we have it. RuneScape and Star Wars The Old Republic have clearly lost. Lord of the Rings Online is hanging on by a thread. All the rest are securely in their place. Now, the question is, what's going to replace Star Wars The Old Republic? I'm open to suggestions. Some have recommended Destiny 2. I am not going to do Destiny 2. It is an online cooperative shooter where you're not getting in parties. It's not like co-op. But it's not an MMO. It is by the strictest definition, but not by the definition I am using. So we're not going to do Destiny 2. Eve has been hilariously recommended to me. I'm not going to do Eve because that is clearly not a casual MMO. I think Albion Online was another option. What was... where can I just go to the tags? There we go. What was... I've got another one I can do. I forgot about Tim Tim. I don't think that counts either. We'll find it. We'll find it. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. Wizard 101. Lost Ark. Lost Ark is a... I'm going to write these down. Okay, Lost Ark is an option. I have played a very little bit of that. I don't think it would last very long. You know what? I might consider Fallout 76. Although that seems unfair to include that and not Destiny 2, but it is quite different because Destiny 2 is very instance-based, I feel like. Warframe is another one. I'm grouping that with Destiny 2. I just don't like Warframe either, so I'm not doing it. I don't know what this Undawn is. I'm going to write it down to look at. The other thing with Fallout 76, I'm going to cross off. No, I have played enough Fallout 76 to know that it's not worth doing in this series. So Lost Ark's a good option, but I'll tell you what is kind of leading the pack in my head. I didn't know Xenoverse was considered an MMO. Guild Wars 1. Trove, no. We could go really old school and do Neverwinter. Let's write that down. Neverwinter. Gloria Victis, that is not casual in the slightest. EverQuest. I don't know that some of these older ones are really worth it. Rift. I didn't know Rift was still around. Man. Huh. How's it doing now? Mostly positive? Maybe. All right, well, top of my list is Guild Wars 1, right? But yeah, you let me know your thoughts. Here's what I have on my list. Guild Wars 1, Lost Ark, Undawn. I'm going to look into that one. I don't know. Neverwinter, EverQuest, Rift. I don't think we're going to do those last three, and probably not Undawn either. Hold on. Let's give it a fair shake right now and look it up together. RPG, open world survival. Okay. I need some gameplay.
Must venture.
Oh, stop. I want you muted. Stop. I want you muted. Okay. Oh. It's looking very Fallout 76. Can I get some gameplay, please? I mean, and it's got mixed reviews. It's not going to be that good. Okay, if they can't post a video of gameplay, I don't want to play it. Oh, I've got a GIF of gameplay. Yeah, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, look at that. No. Anyways, all right. Thank you all so much for watching. My condolences to the Star Wars fans, but I don't think there were many of you. Let me know in the comments if you've made it this far. We're at an hour. We're going to end it right at an hour. Let me know in the comments what you think I should play. And if you're a Lotro fan, don't forget, let me know what class you think is the most fun to play. So we will see you all next time for another recap, but specifically tomorrow with week 11 in Elder Scrolls Online. Adios. Goodbye. Almost there. Almost there.